2019 has been an amazing year for Rust, as the developers over at Facepunch show no signs of slowing down development nearly 2 years after the game left early access. Today I wanted to make a video about all the changes 2019 has brought to our beloved game. So just sit back, relax, and re-experience all the Rust updates in 2019. As usual, nothing really happened in the January update, apart from the Christmas event being removed from the game. In February, we received the Airpower update. This update added methods of wireless communication, 2 items for sending wireless signals, aka the RF broadcaster and the RF transmitter, and 2 items for receiving incoming transmissions, the RF receiver and the RF pager. Also in the field of electricity, we got a few new items for constructing alarm systems inside our bases. The most notable of these was the HBHF sensor, which can detect players. Also for alarm systems, we got 2 new kinds of lights, flashers and siren lights, and an alarm speaker if you felt like lights weren't enough. Also in February, palm trees in the desert and hemp plants all around the island got remodeled, and 3 new items were added for the Chinese New Year: the dragon mask, the dragon door knocker, and the Chinese lantern. And finally, the biggest change in this patch was the addition of minicopters, which has since drastically changed the landscape of Rust Island. In March, we received the oil rig update, which, just as the name implies, brought the oil rig with it. Along with the oil rig, we saw the addition of heavy scientists. Around the island, waves were added to the ocean, which made the ocean much more realistic. To add more realism, world reflections were reintroduced into the game. This setting controls what is reflected on surfaces, with 0 being only the sky and 2 being the sky, terrain, and buildings. In April, we received the quality of life update, which brought in quite a few new updates and changes. First of all, the large oil rig was added, and along with this, backpacks were patched to float on water when someone's corpse despawned out at sea. Also with the large oil rig came a new weapon for the heavy scientists to use, the grenade launcher. Another weapon was added this month, which was the combat knife. SAM sights were reworked this month to use electricity, and silent raids were nerfed to be louder and to break the silencer faster. Also this month, building back a block for 30 seconds after it was destroyed was disabled. Fall damage after disconnecting and get at wounding was fixed, and regular scientists and peacekeeper scientists received a visual redesign. Also in April, as an Easter update, 3 new Easter related items were added permanently to the game: the red and the blue rustige eggs, and the Easter wreath. In May, we received the small update, which, as the name implies, didn't bring a lot of new things with it. The most notable changes in this patch was the new model for the bow, and the change in speed of quick looting something after right-clicking it. Also this month, the lighting of the bandit camp was reworked, along with the lighting of a cave type called Cave Large Sewers. Apart from these things, this month's update only brought optimizations and bug fixes. Next up, we had the June update, for which the message on the dev blog read, "Giddy up," as this was the update horses were introduced to the game. Also this month, the entire menu of Rust was revamped to the better version we have today, and the list of servers in the server browser was optimized. We also had the textures of multiple guns changed to look cleaner and to take up less memory, and along with this, muzzle flashes were fixed to better correspond to the weapon barrel instead of just randomly clipping through the gun. The oil rig was significantly nerfed this month, as the loot from scientists was decreased and the monument now only respawns loot after 30 minutes of no player activity in its area. Also, a small quality of life change was added, so that your player wouldn't get stuck on the slightest piece of world geometry. Next, we received the July update, which added a lot of optimizations and a few new things. The number of horses on a 4K map was increased from 40 to 64, and a new item, the horse hitch, was added, which when filled with food, stopped the horse from despawning. Different horse breeds were also added. Also this month, the fuel gauge was added to the minicopter, so you can check the fuel you have left without alt-looking. Lastly this month, cinematic animations were added for video creators to use, but you have to be an admin to use them. In August, the developers once again dropped a new monument in the Excavator update, which, as the update's name implies, is the giant excavator pit. Along with it came the introduction of a new resource, diesel, which is used to power the giant excavator. Spawn locations for diesel barrels were added to the junkyard, the dome, the oil rigs, and the ability to buy them for 300 low-grade fuel at the resource exchange at the outpost. Apart from the additional diesel on the excavator, this update only added optimizations and bug fixes. In September, we received the transport helicopter update, which brought in quite a few new things, and as usual with all Rust updates, a lot of bug fixes and optimization. The most important thing this update was the scrap transport helicopter, which the update was named after. Its flying mechanics are similar to the regular minicopter, but it can carry much more people and is a bit slower as a trade-off. The ability to lead horses when holding E on them was also added. Auto turrets were revamped to use electricity, and their targeting systems were updated to be way more accurate, and draining them without taking hits now is practically impossible. A new source of energy was added, the small generator, which turns low-grade fuel into energy. It consumes 250 low-grade per hour and generates 40 power while active. The ability to buy this new item was added to the building vending machine at the outpost. Rocket launchers were buffed so you can craft them at a level 2 workbench, and the cost of high-velocity rockets was reduced and their damage against players was increased. Also this month, wiring was added around monuments to make it easier to find puzzle elements on your own. A new benchmark was added, and notices in the bottom right got a visual redesign. Screen settings were added into the game so you don't have to restart your game to change the resolution, full screen, and VSync settings. Shadows were optimized, and the third quality of shadows was added to the game. Finally this month, the ability to hide pressure pads on the rugs was added to the game to make them just a little bit more useful. In October, we received the horse equipment update, which along with equipment for horses, brought quite a few new things to Rust. So firstly, they added road sign and wooden horse armor, basic and high quality horse shoes, and saddlebags. They also added the Tesla coil, which when powered shocks players who are nearby. Wires were also changed to show where electricity is flowing in them while holding a wiring tool. The L96 was removed from the bandit camp, and in its place the M39 was added, and the simple handmade sight was added as a default blueprint. While in your inventory, upon selecting a type of ammo, basic information will now be listed. The map was overhauled with a death marker and the ability to mark locations being added. Along with this, the death screen was also redesigned into the better one we have today. A lot of changes to crafting were introduced. The ability to favorite crafting items, a new favorite category in the crafting menu, and a new electrical category in the crafting menu. Right-clicking a quick craft icon will remove it from the crafting queue, middle-clicking one will add 5 of that item to the crafting queue, and right-clicking an item in the crafting queue now moves it to the start of the crafting queue. Splitting in your inventory was also changed. Shift-clicking on the splitting bar will split half, middle-clicking it will split a third of the stack, and right-clicking the splitting bar will allow you to type in the exact amount you want to split. Also this month, chat notifications were added to tell you why a building block can't be repaired. The option to bind keys to dropping items was also added this month. And finally, the oil rigs had their recyclers removed and their loot nerfed once again for game balance, and the giant excavator's resource yields were buffed to encourage its use. It now gives 5,000 stone or 750 sulfur or 2,000 metal fragments per diesel. Later on in October, we got the Halloween update, which added both old and new items into the item store. The Surgeon Scrubs, the Fogger 3000, the Candle Pack, the School Door Knocker, the School Fire Pit, the Spooky Speaker, and the Strobe Light. In November, we received the Tree Fix update, which, just as the name implies, fixed the tree minigame for all trees. Apart from this, it also changed and added quite a few things as usual. Vending machine markers were changed to be merged just like sleeping bags were on the map. Campfires were fixed so that the flames and the smoke move up even on slopes. The feedback menu was changed to a cleaner version, and along with it you will now receive messages in the main menu if someone you reported got banned. The medium battery was added, and along with it, the electrical storage system was completely revamped with a new unit of Rust Watt minutes. 1 Rust Watt minute is equivalent to 1 unit of power output for 1 minute. The capacity of all batteries is as follows. Small ones can store 150 Rust Watt minutes, medium ones can store 9,000 Rust Watt minutes, and large ones can store 24,000 Rust Watt minutes of power. Team chat was added, and also related to chatting, you can mute annoying players in chat, clear the chat altogether, and visit the Steam profiles of players in chat. The delay on the second shot fired from a bow was also removed. A queue to looting was added this month along with a new feature, which upon holding H automatically queues all items for looting that you hover over with your mouse. Right-clicking an item in your inventory now moves it to your belt. Placing an item of clothing in your hotbar and switching to that slot will now equip it, and the ability to accidentally throw items through the tiny cracks in your inventory was removed. Lockers were changed so that every first row now only accepts clothing, and this is marked by a shirt icon in all these slots. The second row still accept all kinds of items, and now you can move items directly into lockers. Water transfer for water catchers and water wells was changed, with 2 new buttons being added to give and take water, with both of these and the drink button now having the ability to be held down to continue doing that action. And finally, the ability to place small water catchers on roofs was added, but it has to have a direct line of sight to the outside world. The Instrument Pack DLC was added to the staging branch for testing later on in November, with it adding 10 new instruments: the wheelbarrow piano, the junkyard drum kit, the shovel bass, the xylophone, the plumber's trumpet, the sousaphone, the cowbell, the tambourine, the jerry can guitar, and the pan flute. In December, we received the instrument update, which, along with adding the instrument DLC I talked about a few seconds ago, it added quite a few new things and fixes as usual. First person legs were added, so you aren't PewDiePie now with no legs. The load times both for SSDs and hard drives was made faster. The Garry's Mod 15-year anniversary item, aka the tool gun, was added to the game. Apart from this, the December update only consisted of bug fixes and optimization. Finally, the last update of 2019 was the Christmas update, which brought new and old items back to the item store and into the game. Deluxe Christmas lights and the snow machine, which runs on low-grade fuel, were added, and the Christmas event was enabled, with slightly modified loot tables from last year. Overall, 2019 has been an amazing year for Rust, and I hope all of you had wonderful wipes and memories, and I wish you guys all a happy new year. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, then please leave a like and subscribe to help me reach 3,000 subscribers by the end of January. I would like to shout out Gucciberg, Dimitri, Thorn, and Bothered Nickel for being my patrons. If you really like my content and would like me to shout you out at the end of my videos, consider becoming one of my patrons on patreon.com/TheMeemishGamer. I would also like to thank you guys for over 2,500 subscribers. Also, if you have any questions, then you can join my Discord server and ask me.